Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and welcome to LifeSpa.com. And today I want to talk about gut immunity. It's 70% of your entire immune system. They call it the second brain because 95% of the neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine are produced in your gut based on the quality and integrity of your intestinal skin. Your intestinal skin, the lining of your intestinal tract, is linked to the proper proliferation of the right and beneficial bacteria. And that imbalance is antagonistic to the proliferation of bad bugs that build up in your intestinal tract. We now know that there's a bi-directional pathway between your gut and your brain, and your brain and your gut, and also a pathway, a bi-directional path between your gut and your immunity and your immunity and your gut. So these systems are your brain, your mood, your desires, your immune response are all being integrated or interfaced with each other. They all interconnect. They're all bi-directional. So it's really important that we understand that where the rubber meets the road is the quality of your intestinal skin. Now, Ayurveda said thousands of years ago that 85% of all disease comes from digestive issues. And the quality and integrity of the intestinal skin was so critical to them that they spent so much, they put in so much effort to take care of the delicate nature of the intestinal tract. It's something that we don't do in the West. We just clobber it with antibiotics, which have been proven to create an environmental imbalance, irritation of the intestinal skin. Harsh herbs like oregano oils and real aggressive grapefruit seed extracts and different agents that are very harsh to the intestinal skin. Yeah, they're going to kill the bugs, but we have this way of doing things in America where if there's a bug that's bad, we want to kill it. Well, in Ayurveda, they talked about bugs thousands of years ago. They called them krimi, and they knew that they were invisible. Don't know how they knew they were there because they were invisible, but they did. And they talked about how to treat them, which wasn't to kill them, it was to change the environment. Right? Bring the balance back to that intestinal lining, and the right bugs proliferate and the bad bugs leave because the environment is inhospitable to them, right? It makes perfect sense, which I think is really quite beautiful. Your intestinal tract is sort of a no vacancy environment. So there's no room for new bugs to come in. So when you take a probiotic, it's great. They work. Most of them are what are called transient. They just go right through you, and you have to keep taking them to feel better. And they help your immunity or your weight loss or your whatever it is you're trying to accomplish with the probiotics. But you do become dependent on them. And I was never a fan of that because we started using probiotics back in the early 1980s when I first got into practice, and they worked. But again, people got dependent on them. We couldn't get them off of them. So it wasn't really like the perfect fix because now they're healthy if I keep selling them a product, which didn't feel right. And so I kept looking for probiotics that are called colonizers, ones that stick to and adhere to the intestinal lining. And that's what I use today. So I can get them on, change the environment, and then get them off. So a lot of the probiotics, while they work, which are great, they are transient in nature. And we do have opportunistic bacteria that take advantage of the irritation that we incur. I hate to say coffee is a bile irritant, but it is. And if you drink a lot of it, you irritate the gut. It makes you go to the bathroom. That's why you go to the bathroom, because your gut was irritated. And you end up with, maybe better bowel movements. And there's no question, lots of benefits to coffee from the other constituents. There's over 300 in there. Chlorogenic acid and others are really great for us, but some of us don't do as well with the caffeine as others. And there's a dark side to that when you get addicted to caffeine. I wrote an article called Decaffeinate Yourself. You should all check that out because there's science to say not a great idea. But the point here is that we put a lot of things in our intestinal tract that irritate the intestinal lining. Even the diets that we use. One study showed that a high protein diet actually decreases the amount of bugs in your gut. A high fat diet decreases the amount of good bugs in your gut. The only diet that did the best was a Mediterranean diet, which is a whole food, fruit, vegetable, grain, in small amounts of meat and fish and olive oil and berries and fresh foods was the diet that increased the microbiome the best, increases the diversity, and help heal the intestinal skin. This diet is by nature high in fiber. And fiber is really important for your gut immunity. What I'm going to talk about now is how do we heal that gut? How do we get the lining back? What do we need in there? Well, the studies show in a book called The Story of the Human Body by Daniel Lieberman, a Harvard professor, he said that the hunter-gatherers ate about 100 grams of fiber per day in their diet. 100 grams. The average American, 15 to 20. If you're healthy, you're getting 20. 15 most people get. So people in our ancestors got 5 times easy more fiber in their diet than we did. Now, what does fiber do? Well, fiber, it soothes and heals your intestinal. We're talking right now about soluble fiber, which is really good in the winter when it's dry, and the oats and the grains and the wheat are all soluble fiber in nature. The seeds are harvested in the fall, and when you grind them and put water in them, they get slimy. They're soluble fiber. The bugs in your gut eat soluble fiber. That's what they love. Well, you also have this thing in your gut called bile, which comes from your liver. And the bile is like a Pac-Man, and it gobbles up toxins in your intestinal tract, in your liver, scrubs your little villi, and when you have enough fiber in your diet, the fiber attaches to the bile and takes the bile with all the toxins in tow to the toilet. Now, if you don't have enough fiber, 15 grams of fiber versus the 100 grams of fiber our ancestors did, we're talking about a significant lack of bile or fiber to attach to the bile. So instead of the bile with all the toxins until going to the toilet, everything goes back to your liver. Up to 94% of that bile gets shipped right back to your liver. Dumps your toxins back into your liver, sometimes into your blood. Your body sticks it in your other places, in your joints, your fat, your brain, which is very real, been studied. Mercury from the environmental pollutants end up in your brain tissue. We've seen that. So there's a lot of issues with that bile coming back and dumping its contents back in the liver, and the liver has to start over again because you didn't have enough fiber to attach to the bile to take it to the toilet, right? And what's even more interesting is that the bile can be reused up to 17 times before it's finally discarded. So we will reuse the old bile. This is from the Guyton's textbook of physiology, that we reuse the bile 17 times before it finally gets discarded as just unusable. It's like washing your dishes in the same dirty dishwasher for 17 days in a row. It's just bad. And you have fiber, a lot of good soluble fiber, it takes it to the toilet. And it forces you to make brand new bile today and tomorrow. And you keep having fresh, clean bile, which is scrubbing and cleaning your villi and supporting healthy elimination, buffering your acids, emulsifying good fats for energy and bad fats for toxicity, waste removal. It's all what it does. It's really, really important. Without bile, your digestion is in big trouble. So this is really important. It's why you don't eat the garbage oils, the canolas and the safflowers and the sunflowers that are highly processed, bleached, boiled, deodorized, the cooking aisle with all the yellow, clear plastic bottles that have been so highly processed, no bugs will eat them, right? We want to stay away from those kinds of foods because they're just really bad for us. Bugs eat oil, but they don't eat that oil. That's why they put those in foods to preserve foods, extend shelf life, not our life, shelf life, right? So when you put that stuff in your food, you eat it, the bugs won't eat it in your gut either, so it ends up to your liver, the garbage can, and it congests your liver, and now you have lack of bile. Lack of bile means you have lack of the waste removal system and scrubbing, cleaning, maintaining the integrity, balance, and environment of your intestinal tract, and therefore compromised gut immunity. So the gut immunity base is based on the three little bear effect of your gut. Intestinal skin has to be not too dry, constipated, not too wet, mucousy, or loose, has to be just right. And if it isn't just right, you're going to get the wrong bugs. Opportunistic bugs will proliferate, and they will cause a compromise in your gut immunity, which is 70% of your immune response, which is really, really important, right? So soluble fibers are really important. Chia seeds, flax seeds, okra, oatmeal, wheat bran, oat bran, all great. Oat bran is great, 4 to 8 grams of that per day in a cereal, fantastic for you. Drink lots of water when you do that. Really, really great way to go to keep the fiber in your diet and make sure everything goes down. In Ayurveda, the number one digestive imbalance is what's called udvarta, which means upward moving digestion. A lot of people, their heartburn, indigestion, their burping, their nausea, their gas, their bloat, is because the digestion is going up instead of down. And the fiber is one of the things that helps it go down, because it takes the bile, all the toxins in tow, to the toilet. And my favorite fiber supplement is something we call slippery elm prebiotic, which is a combination of slippery elm, marshmallow root, and licorice root. And we have them in a canister, chopped, not ground, because if you get ground versions of those, you'll make mud. And we soak it in 2 quarts of water overnight, strain it through a metal strainer, make this thick, viscous, slimy, soluble fiber tea. And you take tablespoons throughout the day on an empty stomach. Also with meals, it's okay. But throughout the day, you're just coating the whole intestinal tract like the Pepto-Bismol commercial. Coating, sealing, healing, repairing your intestinal lining, which is so critically important. And then the bugs eat that soluble fiber, and your bile's loving this, and everything's starting to move through your intestinal tract the way it was designed. Now, we also have a probiotic that is colonizing. Years ago, I stumbled upon a line of probiotics that were proven to adhere to the intestinal lining. Species like Bifidobacteria lactis HN019 been shown to stick and adhere to the intestinal tract and increase the proliferation of good bugs by 40 to 60%, which means that not only does the probiotic stick to your gut, but it increases the proliferation of more good bacteria significantly, which means you can get on the probiotic, get better, and get off. And that's my plan, is to not have people on probiotics for the rest of their life. Every season or 2 or every year, maybe do a round of them to kind of repopulate, that's fine. But not every single day. This is not how we were designed to have to take a probiotic pill to survive, right? So I use the slippery elm usually for about a month, sometimes longer if we need it. It's a more chronic condition. And we take that every day throughout the day for about a month while you're taking this formula called Gut Revival, which has the colonizing probiotics, and it also has in it some antagonistic probiotics that kill off the bad opportunistic bugs. So that probiotic makes sure that you don't grow or proliferate any other new bad bugs. It kind of has a antagonistic effect on them. It gets rid of the bad bugs, and it also increases the proliferation of good, healthy, permanent residents. Now, I was really interested by that, and we did a study years ago when I first got this probiotic in stock. We had a group of my patients going to Europe on a vacation, and we had the wife take the probiotic and the husband didn't. We had 20 people go to Europe, different families came back. Before they went, we took their microbiome test, and at the end, 6 weeks after, we took another microbiome test. Sort of half the group took the probiotic, the colonizing probiotic, half the group didn't. They all came back with new and different bugs in their gut because they were in Europe, but the ones that took the probiotic had 40 to 60% more diverse bugs in their gut than they did when they came. And diversity is the magic thing, right? That's what gives you gut immunity. Having more diverse bugs gives you more resiliency against any other weird thing coming into your intestinal tract. So that's how it works. That's what I usually use those for about a month, and then you go back to usually then go and start helping to support other aspects of your digestion, like the upstream part. Your stomach making acid, your liver making bile, pancreatic enzymes, do all the enzymes. They all have to be coordinated as well, and a lot of times because of the bad oils and the processed foods, we have compromise in the upper digestion as well, and that would be a kind of a phase 2 approach. And I've written tons of articles. We have an ebook, a completely free ebook called Troubleshooting Your Digestion. I think it's called the Digestive Troubleshooting Guide. And it's about 74 pages of information, all for free, to help you take you step by step through troubleshooting your digestion. And the key of this lecture is that the intestinal environment is linked to your gut immunity. And that's a critically important piece, because your gut immunity is directly linked to respiratory immunity. Those are also bi-directional. Whatever you put in your gut is going to affect not only gut immunity, but respiratory immunity. And whatever you breathe, polluted air, has been shown to compromise respiratory immunity, which also affects gut immunity. There are all these crazy bi-directional pathways between your gut and your brain, your gut immunity, and your gut and your immune system, and of course your gut and respiration. They're all bi-directional. So you can't get away by just treating one part. You got to always be looking at those whole body as a whole, because the bugs are making, these connections constantly. Okay, so there's a great article on my website about this called turbocharge your gut immunity or supercharge your gut immunity. Check it out. It goes into all the science behind this. There's a lot of articles and a lot of details about the studies to back up what the Ayurvedic understanding was about supporting a healthy intestinal skin, a healthy microbiome, and healthy gut immunity. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Do you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe and share.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at lifespa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.